So-called Pride Month celebrations, probably most of us are recognizing the reality that they are certainly more muted this year. That would be all the celebrations of Pride Month. But that's not the case in Oregon. In fact, just yesterday, there was a bizarre, in fact, a grotesque performance in the Oregon legislative chambers where two drag queens took to the assembly floor in honor of a Democratic resolution recognizing, quote, the artistry of black drag performers. Incredible. One of the legislators even went so far as to say that the whole so-called performance was a reminder of the cultural impact of drag. Folks, think about what does that mean? What is the impact exactly, other than desensitizing young people to sexual immorality? How is remarkable. How did the other legislators respond to this? Well, joining me now is one legislator from the state of Oregon, Representative Dwayne Yunker. Representative Yunker, welcome to Washington Watch. Thank you so much for joining us by phone.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, it's an honor to have you. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around what happened on the House floor there at the Assembly chamber. Tell me, how did you and some of your other colleagues react to this so-called performance?
Well, the majority of the Republicans, which were a super minority, most of us were not on the floor. We refused to be on the floor during the show. I would call it a show because it wasn't, something that our founding fathers would ever dream of having on a House floor or a Senate floor, either in our state or in the U.S. Capitol. So most of us refused to be on the floor. Republicans in the House in Oregon, we pray during our caucus meetings before. Most of us have Christian values, the family values, marriage. Those things are all important to us, and so most of us were grotesque that we'd be having a show that you would see in some underground, maybe in Portland, but no, it's going to be on the House floor of Oregon.
It's stunning to me. I mentioned in the introduction coming into this that all of this so-called performance was tied to a Democratic resolution, and so I'm assuming that this was all just a part of one and the same. Tell us about what was the resolution that the Democrats felt so needy to bring a drag performance to the House chamber. What was the resolution and what was the vote? How did it turn out?
Yeah, so the House resolution was honoring black drag queens in the state of Oregon. This first was brought up in February, where it was honoring black drag queens in Portland, and then it drug out, and we were hoping it would go away, and then they pushed it through. And you got to remember, Oregon, it's hard to say this, but it's considered the gayest state, which is, as being someone who grew up here, it's horrible. But our governor is a first lesbian governor. She's very proud of those things. So this is just how things are happening with the Democratic Party. They really, and so this, we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. We just know there was going to be a drag queen thing, and most of us, and obviously all the ladies from the Republican, they didn't even want to be there. Now there was a couple Republicans that had to be there because of quorum. So they were there. And so every Democratic voted for it. Now there is two, and to be honest, there was two Republicans that voted for him, and they're in a kind of a purple area. I'm not sure why. They could have voted no. They didn't need our votes, but you'd have to take that up with them.
Wow. So given what you just described about the Democratic makeup of your state, were you surprised at what happened yesterday?
No, I'm not surprised. This is my second year in being a representative, and this is, we in our state, trans is really pushed. You know, our attorney general just came out yesterday against the Tennessee case that was that they won. You know, not allowing transition of children, and of course, our attorney general, it's a Democrat, also puts out a statement. This is our values in Oregon. We're not going to change. The governor's the same way. They're very on board pushing these, these. I don't know their values, but they're their values, not my values, not my Christian beliefs. You know, I have two brothers that are ministers. It's those are not my values. My family's values are a traditional family of, mom and dad and, children. So, but this is what we fight on every day. And, we've pulled a bill to the floor twice this year. What's a bill pull when you have a bill and you pull it out of a committee to have a vote on it. For this bill was about getting, boys out of girls' sports, and the Democrats all vote no. Not one of them will vote with us.